Today's topic is the comparison that comparison is the thief of joy. And the reason I'm talking about this today is because I've had a number of client calls this week, coaching calls, and this came up a couple of times in conversation about people comparing to other people and measuring where they should be in their career or in their business based on the people around them. And so I wanted to share my thoughts around this with you and give you something to consider, some questions to ponder over that may assist you. If you find that you're someone who, not always, but may even just occasionally, once in a while, you suddenly find yourself comparing yourself to other people around you. So here's the thing with this, and I've got some notes here that I'll be referring to that I made just before this live. And so when we start to compare ourselves with others, first of all, the feelings that typically come up aren't necessarily positive. More often than not, they're feelings of inferiority, of being less than or behind somebody else, or not good enough, or well, it's okay for them, and so forth. So typically that's what the feelings that come up for us. Occasionally it might even be that we feel superior, and that's more of a possibly a positive emotion, a positive response for you. Depends what your values are and what's important for you. Something that I actually learned early on in my career. So when I started out, I started my career as an accountant, and for whatever reason, I always felt that I was less than everyone around me because I was incredibly shy, incredibly quiet. I lacked confidence in myself. And so I looked around at everyone and I thought, well, they're better than me, they're smarter than me, they can articulate themselves really well, they've got great communication skills because they were more extrovert or more outspoken and confident. And so then I was making myself feel very, very small. And this is what typically happens when we compare. We look at what other people have got, what they've achieved, and we think, oh, we're not there yet. And then it starts to impact us in a way that we feel that we're lesser than. So this is the first thing to consider, right? How does comparison serve you? When we start to look at others and we compare, how is it even helping you? Because it's negative emotions, negative thoughts typically that will come up for you. It's unproductive for you. And the emotions that come up are typically pretty unhealthy. So you might start to feel resentment. It may be that you're comparing yourself to someone that you're at school with, and you look at where they're at in their life, in their career, and you feel like, well, I haven't done that, I haven't achieved that. So you maybe even start to feel resentment, possibly jealousy, you get angry, you get frustrated with them or with yourself. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for that relationship either. So the point here is that comparison does not serve us at all. Okay. The other thing to remember is, or to ask yourself, is what are you comparing? You're comparing apples and I actually say apples and bananas rather than apples and pears, because apples and pears are similar-ish in the way that they look. But I say bananas, apples, very, very different. And that's what you're comparing. You're comparing and contrasting two very, very different people. Why is that? The reason that is because the other person that you're comparing yourself with has trodden a completely different path to you. Even if maybe you went to the same school or university, or you both started out at the same company in your first job, or you're both accountants or HR people or IT people, whatever it is, there's likely some similarity as to why you're comparing in the first place. But actually, what percentage of similarities are there between the two of you? Because here's the thing you want to remember: everybody's individual journey is completely different, no matter what you see on the outside. So whether it's experiences that people have had, we've all had our own unique individual experience in life growing up, the beliefs that we have instilled about life, about the world, about other people, and about ourselves. The values that we hold can be very, very different to the next person, no matter that we've had a similar upbringing, no matter that we went to the same school, college, university, whatever it might be, or we've worked at the same company. Just think about for a second, think about siblings. How often is it the case that you have two siblings and they are poles apart? They are completely different. And you think, but they've come from the same parents. How could it possibly be that they're so different? And it's the same with everyone else. So it doesn't make any sense to compare. I hope this is making sense. Let me know if it resonates at all. If you're someone who has found yourself comparing at some point in your life with other people around you, and ask me any questions you have on the topic. Carl, hello. Carl, your local superhero electrician from Loughton. Hi, Carl. How are you doing? Great to have you join. Thank you. And I hope this is useful for you as well. So coming back to the journeys that we've all had, as well as our experiences being so different, it's not only what's happened to us as we've grown up and we've embarked on our adult life and our careers and our businesses, it's also the way that we perceive those experiences that are going to be different. So we have to remember that nobody sees the same situation in exactly 100% the same way, which is why we have debate, discussion, even arguments around topics, around issues, because everyone's coming from a different place. The other thing is, so we have experiences, beliefs, values, is also priorities. So your priorities may not be the same as the person you're comparing yourself with. So whilst you might look at them and think, oh, well, they're doing great and I'm not, and this shouldn't be, actually, their priorities could be completely different to you. Just to give a simple example, it might be that your priority is your partner, your family, your children, so your relationship with your family unit. Whereas the person you're comparing yourself with maybe doesn't even have a family. Maybe they don't have a partner, they don't have children, and they are wholly focused on their career. Just as a simple example. And yet you, who's prioritized family first, is now looking, well, how comes they've done so well and it's not fair, and so forth. And it's not about it being fair or not being fair. It's about where is their focus and what is it they're doing. And remember this, what you're observing, right? You're perceiving something, and actually what you might be interpreting from that may not be the truth. It may be that that person has thrown themselves completely into their career because they didn't have a family, they didn't have a partner, and so they've thrown themselves into their job. Okay, but they might be comparing themselves to you, and it's very likely the case that when we look at other people and we're comparing ourselves and thinking, oh, they're better than us, they've got so much more than us, they're looking at you and doing exactly the same thing because of differing priorities. And then finally, think about your why. Why is it that you want what you want, or you do what you do? Because again, your why is likely to be very different from the other person. So there's a number of reasons why it makes absolutely no sense to be comparing yourself with other people and trying to determine in your mind, well, am I better than them? Are they further ahead than me? Etc. So something to think about. And just to recap on that, right? I'm just going to share this again. Comparison is the thief of joy. Why? Because we're comparing apples and bananas. And the reason for that is the path that's been trodden, the journey that each individual, each of us has been on, is so very different. And if you're questioning that, think about siblings who've grown up with the same parents bringing them up, the same household, and how different they can be. Just from that example, it shows you how different we can all turn out, the different values, the different experiences, our beliefs, the priorities that we have, the passion, whatever we're passionate about, can be so different. What excites us, what motivates us, and our why. So this is the reason I invite you to stop. If you do it, is to stop comparing yourself to other people. Carl, do we recognize the great in others because it takes one to know one, or it takes great to recognize great too? Well, there is a saying, isn't there, Carl? Thank you for the question. That it takes one to know one. So if you recognize something in someone, it's because you have it yourself, or you see it in yourself and you're reflecting it back. And in the personal development world, there is also philosophy or school of thought that anything that we recognize in other people, we have that within us too. So actually, by virtue of that statement, yes, you're right. We do recognize the greatness because it does take one to know. And we have what we recognize in others, we can only recognize because we have it in ourselves. So it's great point, great question, and actually a potential topic for another live. So in sharing what I've shared so far, I've given you a couple of, well, first of all, explained why comparison doesn't serve us because of the negativity, the emotions that it brings up for us, that then makes us typically feel even lesser than or less worthy or not good enough. And also why it makes no sense to compare because we're all on different journeys. So what can we do with this? We can reframe what we're seeing. So when we look at someone else and we compare, so let's say somebody we've been to school with who is now, in our perception, in our view, doing exceedingly well in their career, and we feel that we're not, what can you do differently with that? So my invitation to you is to consider reframing your thoughts around the situation. What do I mean by that is, how can you look at it differently? And the way that I've always done this is to look at others who I feel, okay, yeah, they're ahead of me, they're doing better than me, is, you know what? They're inspiring me. And that is a simple reframe. Instead of comparisonitis and thinking, oh, well, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, and they're lucky because, and all of that. It's actually, if you see someone doing really well, it's look at it in a way that they're inspiring me. I would love to do what they're doing. What is it I need to do differently? How can I achieve what they're achieving in their life, in their career, whatever it might be? Okay. So that's what I mean by reframe. So this is the first thing I invite you to do to have a better outcome for yourself and to serve yourself better, because it's no point continually focusing on things that create negative emotions for you. You want to have the positive experience. So look at the inspiration that someone is giving you by virtue of what you're seeing them do, what you're seeing them accomplish. And so when you see someone who inspires you, and at least this works for me, is that I then think, well, actually, if they can do that, then I can do that. So it inspires me to then take action. It enables me to set the bar even higher. And I've done that a lot, particularly at work, when I think, yeah, I'm doing really good. But then I see someone who's doing something even better. I think, yeah, I'm going to push the bar higher for myself, which will motivate me to work harder, to push through and keep going to get to where I then want to be, because we're always reviewing and evolving our goals and what it is we want in different areas of our life. So we're allowed to adapt and to change that and to move the bar. So when you see someone who's doing really well, rather than comparing and then putting yourself down and beating yourself up, use it to raise yourself up by setting your bar higher. And even consider, okay, what is possible? If they can do that, imagine what I could achieve. You know, it's a different perspective on how we look at things. You know, so some of the thought processes that I'm sharing with you are things that you can reframe. So instead of beating yourself up, think about, okay, what action is it I can take to get to that position, or to experience what they're experiencing? Think about raising your bar even higher, because they're showing you what is possible. So when you can see, well, they can do it, it's possible, then why would you not strive for that as well? And also the thought process of, if they can do it, then so can I. And if it means reaching out to them and speaking to them to understand how they've done something, how they've achieved something, what got them there, do so. Reach out and ask, because people love to share. People love to talk about themselves. They love to talk about how they've accomplished things. So that I'm sure they'll be more than willing to share that with you and to help you along in your journey and hold your hand and lift you up with them. So the overriding message here is that rather than comparing, it's to look at the positives in it. What can you do to help yourself. And this is the piece I want to come on to next, which is, what is it you can do to control and to influence your situation? Because when we spend too much time focusing on other people, it's not serving us. It's not helping us. In fact, a lot of people do it because they don't want to focus on themselves. They're not happy in their lives. They're frustrated. They may feel resentful, angry for whatever reason, for whatever they feel that life has thrown at them. And they immerse themselves in other people's lives. If you imagine people who are really focused on the celebrities, let's say, and their lifestyles and following all that they do, but then it's a distraction from looking at themselves. And then they feel even more unhappy because they've not really looked at focusing on what they can do for themselves, but they're looking at what everyone else is doing and what they have and their lifestyles. So my invitation to you is to take some time to focus on you. And it's not the most comfortable thing, I will admit. However, you don't need to share it with anyone. You can do it on your own, create some space and time for yourself when you can do that. And think about, what is it you have control over? You have control over you and the actions that you take, the decisions that you make, the thoughts that you have. So you get to influence your life. So ask yourself these questions. What is it that I am missing in my life? And particularly if you're not content, you're not happy right now, is to ask yourself, what is it that I'm actually missing in my life? And write it down. Get a notebook and make some notes about it. Like I said, this is just for you. You don't need to share this with anyone else. And for those of you watching live, let me know if this resonates with you at all and how it's helping you, and also what action you're going to take from what I'm sharing today. So once you've identified, okay, what is missing in your life, and break it down to the different facets of your life. So it could be your career, your family, your social life, your financial situation, your health and well-being. And think about, maybe score yourself out of 10. How happy are you? What's missing in your life? And then ask yourself, well, what's going well? Because here's the thing, our human brain naturally goes for the negative, the things that aren't going well, the things that are going badly. So actually focusing on what is going well will also give you a bit of a boost and make you feel better, particularly if you're feeling bad about yourself, you're lacking confidence, just feel like you're not good enough. Is stop, take the time to really reflect and look at what is going well for you. What are your accomplishments? What have you done over the last 12 months that's been great, that's been a win for you? And then you want to also remember that anything that you're doing, you apply 100% of your effort and your energy into that. If you go at a 50% effort, you'll get 50% of the results. And the person that you might be comparing yourself with is probably putting in 100%. So anything that you put your mind to and that you really want, you want to be applying 100%. In other words, showing up as your best self and going all in to achieve what it is you're striving for. And the other thing I invite you to do is to recognize what you do have. Because again, when we go into comparison mode, it's often about, well, we don't have that and they've got that. But actually focus on what you do have. Practice gratitude. So again, in your notebook, every day, just write down a minimum of 3 things that you are grateful for. And the more you do it, the more you'll start to recognize that there is so much that you do have that you are grateful for. And it's not to say that when you do that, it's not to say that, okay, well then I should be happy with my lot. The point here is to be aware of where you're focusing your thoughts, your mind, and what we get more of what we focus on. So the more you focus on the good and the things that you're grateful for, you're more likely to attract more of the same. When we focus on things that are going bad, that are going wrong, all kind of the negative things that we tend to think about, we tend to manifest more of the same. So focusing on the good, the positives, and a great way to do this is by practicing gratitude. So you also want to be focusing on the energy in your life, and the energy in your life comes from the things I just mentioned. So focusing on what's going well, recognizing your accomplished, celebrating them, and also practicing your gratitudes, because all of this instills more positive energy within. Think about when you've identified, okay, what's missing in my life and what's going well. Ask yourself, well, what could be even better? And often these are the things that you're seeing other people around you doing or achieving or having. So what could be even better for you? And then from doing this exercise and asking yourself those 3 questions, you then identify the gap. So in other words, what's going well? What could be better? What's missing? And then what's in that gap? So let's take health as an example. It could be what's going well. Well, I eat really, really well. I always eat all the right foods and so forth. But what's not going so well, or what could be even better, is my fitness. So maybe I could exercise more, I could do more training, or go to the gym more often, or start going to the gym, or whatever, or just going out for walks. So that's the gap, right? So the gap is, okay, the fitness is lacking, but the nutrition is good. Therefore, what do I need to do? Okay, so now you set yourself your goals to take the baby steps to get to improving that area of your life. And this comes from wanting to create change. Because as I said earlier, when we start comparing with other people, often it's because we're not happy with ourselves, we're not happy with what we've got going on. And by expressing gratitude, practicing gratitude, by recognizing what has gone well for us, what we've achieved, what we've accomplished, where we're at in our lives, and all the good, is that we get to start focusing on that and creating that internal satisfaction, which then has us thinking, okay, but there's still a gap here. What is it I can do to create change? Because looking at other people and feeling resentful is not going to help you. So the invitation here is to consider what it is that you can influence to help you to move forward, rather than comparing yourself with others. And using the people around you who you see are doing really well in your eyes, or if they have what you have, or they're going in the direction that you want to go, they're living a life that you'd love to have, look at that as inspiration. Look at it as what is possible for you. Raise the bar so that you can accomplish even more, and set yourself new goals. This is rather timely because we've got 6 weeks until the new year. So this is something to think about, rather than looking around and saying, woe is me, or beating yourself up and feeling that you're not good enough, because that is not true. That is just a negative inner self-talk that we do it to ourselves, and it holds us back. You may have heard me say before, the biggest thing that holds us back is the limitations that we set on ourselves. And that comes from a lot of that inner self-talk, the dialogue, the thoughts that we have, and not having an awareness of what that is doing and the impacts that's having on us. So by becoming aware of when you fall into comparison mode and looking at what is it you can do to create a shift for you, rather than focusing on other people, is have those people inspire you. Reach out to them and ask them for guidance, for mentoring, for direction. And then focus on what it is that you can do to create the change that you want to have in your life. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you, Janice. Thank you for joining today. And I hope this has been helpful for you. Do let me know, for all of you listening live and those of you on replay, let me know what has been your biggest takeaway from this, how this has resonated for you, and what action you are going to take. Thank you for joining me today. Before I sign off, a quick reminder, once again, do grab your copy of the Personal Brand Playbook. The link is in the comments. And it details the 6 facets of personal branding that I believe are critical to understanding and to mastering in order that you can advance your life and your career. Also, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, the link is in the comments. Shah has added that in for you. And so go ahead now and subscribe to that. You can check out all of the podcast interviews, and I will assure you they are all absolutely amazing. The guests I have had on have had so much to share. They're truly accomplished people and have been very open to share with us, their challenges, how they've overcome situations, and their learnings in life that can benefit all of us. So do check it out, do subscribe, and all of the lives as well are on there. So you can go through and start checking those out as well. I'm sure there'll be topics in there that will be beneficial to you. So until next time, I invite you to remember to build your influence, to make an impact, and to be remembered for all of the right reasons by showing up as the best version of you. I look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. Until then, have an amazing rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.